The most inbred rulers in all of human history. Oh my God.
Most people think inbreeding in royal families peaked with one man. Jaw that wouldn't close, couldn't walk until 8, heart the size of a peppercorn at autopsy. His name is Charles II of Spain, and his inbreeding coefficient was 25.4%, higher than a child born to siblings. He is number 2 on this list. These are the most inbred rulers who ever held power. 6 of them, ranked by how far their bloodline went before it broke. Queen Victoria. In 1853, a 4-year-old boy named Leopold...
Let me just stop real quick and say that first motherfucker was ugly, yo, son. He was ugly.
fell in the nursery at Buckingham Palace and couldn't stop bleeding. The doctors kept him in bed for days. His mother, Queen Victoria, wrote to her uncle, King Leopold of Belgium, that her youngest son was again laid up with a bad knee from a fall. She was anxious.
He was also viewed as one of the most beautiful people ever. What are you talking about? Like, they actually called... Who? You talking about the dude that I called ugly in the beginning? Is that the guy it showed? If that motherfucker was the most beautiful person on the planet, then me and everybody in this chat, dude, would have been considered as gods. I'm sorry. They had to force that on people.
She didn't understand why. Leopold was Victoria's 8th child. She had 9. She ruled for 63 years, died at 81, mentally sharp until the end. She had married her first cousin, Prince Albert, in 1840. Nobody worried. Cousins married all the time. What she carried wasn't visible. Hemophilia B, a disorder that stops blood from clotting. A small cut bleeds for hours. A bruised joint fills with blood that won't stop pooling. The mutation was in her blood from birth. She had no symptoms. She never knew. Leopold was the first to show it. Described throughout his childhood as a delicate boy who bruised easily, who couldn't roughhouse with his brothers, who spent weeks in bed from injuries that healed in days for everyone else. He died at 30 from a minor fall down a flight of stairs. The bleeding in his brain wouldn't stop. Her daughters Alice and Beatrice were carriers. They married into royal families across Europe. Alice took the mutation to Germany and Russia. Beatrice took it to Spain. Alice's granddaughter Alexandra became Tsarina of Russia. Her son, Alexei, heir to the Russian throne, bled internally from bumps and scrapes. A bruised knee left him bedridden for weeks. His parents brought in a Siberian peasant named Rasputin to pray over him. Rasputin gained enough influence over the royal family that historians trace a direct line from Alexei's condition to the destabilization of the Russian government before the revolution. Beatrice's grandsons in Spain, Infante Alfonso and Infante Gonzalo, both bled to death in separate minor car accidents.
Is there 2 motherfuckers narrating this? Is that why the audio keeps chopping back and forth and it sounds like 2 dudes sitting there talking? 2 different people? I don't know.
Decades later. Alfonso was 31. Gonzalo was 19. Neither crash killed them. The bleeding afterwards did. Victoria never knew any of this. She died 16 years before the first of them. Her inbreeding didn't damage her. It damaged 4 royal families for the next 100 years. The 18th Dynasty of Egypt. Amenhotep III ruled Egypt for 38 years, during what historians call the Golden Age. He built the Colossi of Memnon, killed over 100...
Also, men with big wee-wees were considered extremely dumb, and the men with small ones were considered highly intelligent. That's why you see the statues like that. Yeah, it's because they believed that the smaller it was, the less that they sat around and thought about it. They could have more, like, calculated thoughts. But yeah, Squanchy's right. It was specifically the Romans that believed that at the time. Why do I call bullshit on that one? Was a Siberian peasant mystic who gained immense influence over Russia's, particularly Empress Alexandria. He seemingly healing... Oh my God. We got killed in 1916, yo. Is you serious, LOL? Yeah, the Romans actually did believe that. They killed Rasputin because he had a big hog and cranked all the noble women. Oh my God.
Lions, corresponded with kings across the ancient world. In the last decade of his reign, he married 2 of his own daughters, Sitamun and Iset. Jar inscriptions from his 30th regnal year confirm Sitamun's elevation to great royal wife. His son Akhenaten inherited the throne. Every sculpture and relief from his reign shows the same features: elongated skull, swollen belly, wide hips, protruding jaw.
I think I've read about this guy. Isn't this the Egyptian pharaoh that refused to let them, like, carve him in a way that wasn't accurate to him? Like, they wanted to, I'm pretty sure there was a pharaoh that they wanted to, like, carve to be like, oh, he's, you know, he's godlike, chiseled chest, abs, all that shit, blah, blah. But he wouldn't allow him to do it. He made him carve him in the way that he actually was. I'd like to get me a couple Akhenaten. Not sure. I'm pretty sure I read something about that once. If that's the case, I'm a goddamn baby. Albert Einstein and Isaac Newton had a baby. Jesus Christ.
For a century, historians debated genetic disorder. A 2010 DNA study confirmed none. The appearance was deliberate artistic style, not biology. The biology showed up in the next generation. Akhenaten fathered Tutankhamun with his own sister, confirmed by the 2010 Journal of the American Medical Association study led by Egyptologist Zahi Hawass, the first DNA analysis ever conducted on Egyptian royal mummies. Tutankhamun's parents were full siblings, both children of Amenhotep III and his wife T. Clubfoot, cleft palate, and Kohler disease, a rare bone disorder that causes the small bones of the foot to collapse. Multiple strains of malaria at the same time. Feminine hips. Severe overbite. He could not walk unaided. Geneticist Karsten Pusch of the University of Tübingen, one of the study's authors, put
That boy was fucked up. That's actually very concerning for his health.
it plainly. A frail, weak boy with a club foot who needed a cane to walk, not riding chariots, not leading armies. Archaeologists found 130 walking canes in his tomb. He became pharaoh at 9, died at 18 or 19. 3 generations. Grandfather married his daughters, father born of that bloodline, son born of siblings, each one compounding what came before. 130 canes. The golden boy of ancient Egypt, buried with everything he needed to stand up. Cleopatra. For 275 years, the most systematic...
Buddy's DNA was cooked, oh, Sean. Yeah, see, Squanchy said, I vaguely remember that as well. It may have been him, actually, that they carved statues of his body being fucked up. That wouldn't allow them to carve him in any other way. As far as his body goes, and him, like, taking a power at 9 years old, I feel like that was a terrible idea because children are known to, like, throw tantrums. And imagine, like, if he just wakes up in a bad mood one day. It's over, dude. Everybody's cooked.
Inbred ruling family in the ancient world refused to learn the language of the country they ruled. Every single one of them. Macedonian Greeks who took the throne after Alexander the Great died and never left, governing a country whose language they considered beneath them. Cleopatra was...
Oh, shit. Oh, son. Y'all look at that in the chat. We smashed a goal. Thanks for the assist. Yo, what's good, bro? What's going on, brother? Who made this crap? Off with your head. Just call me JP. What's going on, JP? Now all we got to do is make sure we hit that 5 gifted goal, dude. That last like 5 gifted. As soon as we hit that, dude, everything for the month has been cleared, and we're fucking kings. We're king shit, dude. Well, welcome to the live, JP. Today we're watching. I'm from Australia. Hell yeah. Today we're watching the most inbred rulers in all of human history lock in with the rest of us, oh son.
Was the last ruler of that dynasty. She spoke 9 languages. The historian Plutarch records she conversed with Ethiopians, Hebrews, Arabians, Syrians, Medes, and Parthians without an interpreter. The dynasty that produced her had married siblings for 275 years. Of the 15 marriages made by Ptolemaic rulers, 10 or 11 were between full siblings. Cleopatra's parents were likely brother and sister. When her father died, she ruled jointly with her brother Ptolemy XIII, who was also her husband. After he died, she ruled with her younger brother Ptolemy XIV, also her husband. She outmaneuvered Julius Caesar. She outmaneuvered Mark Antony. She rebuilt the Ptolemaic Empire to its greatest extent in 2 centuries and held the Eastern Mediterranean for 20 years while Rome tried to figure out what to do about her. The most inbred dynasty in the ancient world ended with its greatest ruler. Every ruler
most inbred ever. Most inbred dynasty. Well, of that time. I think old dude that's second on the list seems to be worse than anybody. There's a lot of memes of that dude too that's on the second on the list, and it's actually kind of funny because it'll say shit like, you know, whenever I tasted that cucumber Gatorade, it'll just like have his face like that motherfucker tastes like shit. I want a pet kangaroo. I don't think that's allowed. I don't know if it's allowed here, but I don't know if that's allowed at all in Australia. Which, I mean, it might be. I probably sound ignorant for saying this, but I feel like kangaroo in Australia is the equivalent to a deer in the U.S. Them motherfuckers just everywhere. Family tree ain't got no branches, yo. I might be inbred. Damn it, boy. Kangaroos will fuck you up. They will. They'll beat the goddamn out of you. Shout out to Squanchy if you reach out and grab onto one, dude. I feel like a kangaroo, man, just like when it jumps and it kicks, it'll crush your bones. Or at least, if not, it'll at least knock the breath out of you. And a Christmas wreath, just a naturally grown Christmas wreath. Ain't no branches off that motherfucker. It's all a circle, completely intertwined. I don't know if JP's still in here or not. A kangaroo is a deer that went to prison. That's crazy. Can we watch a video about Neil the seal? I have no idea who that is, but as soon as this goes off, yes, we will bust open Neil the seal. As long as y'all going to actually watch it with me and not just abandon me to watch Neil the seal by myself. Dude, just please. We'll watch it. We'll watch it. As soon as this goes off, we'll watch it. I swear to God. We've only got 6 more minutes of this video left anyway. Yes, I'll watch. Bet. Kangaroos that we see in zoos are all females. That's why they are so small, but the huge ones you see on TV are in the wild or male. Cat. What's cat? You talking about the kangaroos that we see here are being females? Did JP leave the live, or is he still in here watching? I went to a zoo 2 years ago, and there were deaf males in there. Was them motherfuckers huge, oh son? Sure. He's watching a bunch of dumb Americans argue about kangaroos. Probably. Watching a bunch of Americans argue about kangaroo, and the main guy on the screen has no fucking idea, nothing about kangaroos at all, and is comparing them to the modern American deer. Might be the other way around. Makes are small ones, and the females are the huge jacked ones. They was feeding them bitches steroids. Bug Casey. Savage. All right, let's get back into this video, boys.
Before her governed Egypt in a language its people never heard from the throne. George III. On the morning of October 17, 1788, King George III sat down to write a letter and couldn't finish a sentence. Words ran into each other. The pen kept moving. By evening, he was talking without stopping, one thought colliding into the next until foam appeared at his mouth. Servants found him convulsing on the floor of his chamber. He was 50 years old. He had been king of Britain for 28 years. George came from the House of Hanover, German royals who had married German royals.
Did I miss something? Did he get poisoned? I don't know why I zoned out. That motherfucker was tweaking. I don't know if I zoned out or what, but next thing I know, it just says he's foaming at the mouth and they found him on the floor. I lost like a mad track of time right then.
Royals for generations. His parents were second cousins. Their parents were cousins before them. What followed the October episode was documented by his equerry, Robert Greville, in a private diary that survives in the Royal Archives at Windsor. Great agitation and much incoherence in thought and expressions, Greville wrote on November 9th. The king tried to shake hands with an oak tree in the grounds, believing it was the king of Prussia. His physicians applied caustic blistering powders to his legs to draw the illness out through the skin. When he became violent, they strapped him into a straitjacket and bound him to a chair. He recovered. Then it came back. During an 1801 episode, he talked for 58 hours without sleeping and had to be physically restrained 4 times in a single day. Then it came back again. By 1810, the final breakdown came. He went.
All right, brother. Something's got to be done about it. This motherfucker keeps having random breakdowns every other year, and they got to restrain his ass and give him blistering powders. He's got like a bad neurological problem. Somebody's got to do something. These motherfuckers trying to shake hands with trees. He needs help. He's help bad.
Went blind, then deaf. He wandered the corridors of Windsor Castle in a purple dressing gown, conducting conversations with people who had been dead for years. When his wife, Queen Charlotte, died in 1818, he had no idea who she was. He spent his last 10 years completely institutionalized.
I'm not even trying to laugh. It makes me look like a dick, dude. That's not at all what I'm trying to do. For some reason, I just pictured him sitting there in his like king's chair, and they come in and they're like, "Sir," and they like say her name or whatever, and they're like, "Just passed away," or "Queen," whatever, just passed away, and he just looks at him for a second, and he goes, "Who the hell is that?" 18 years. Bro's got like it sounds like he's got like Alzheimer's and schizophrenia and like some kind of bipolar disorder, and I mean he's seeing dead people. Who is this bitch? All confused.
A regent governing Britain in his name. The American colonies had declared independence in 1776, while his first episode was quietly building. He lost America while his mind was failing. Whether he ever understood what happened is something the doctors never thought to ask. Charles II of Spain.
Said, "Sir," said, "Sir, we lost the war to America." Who? America. Who the fuck is that? I'm confused. Don't even remember even being in a war. Just fucking confused as fuck.
On November 1st, 1700, royal physicians opened the body of King Charles II of Spain. Heart the size of a peppercorn. Lungs corroded, intestines gangrenous. One testicle black as coal. Head full of water. They had no explanation for what they were looking at. The answer had been building for 200 years.
How big is a peppercorn? I gotta look that up. I gotta see how big a peppercorn is. Big is a peppercorn. Dude, there ain't no way his heart was only that big, dude. How would its body even be able to fucking survive as long as it did with his heart being that little? Ain't no way, bro. Pencil eraser. And his head full of water. I feel like his head had like, I don't think it was water in his head, bro. Like, I think they like mislabeled that because they didn't know what the fuck they was looking at back then. But I think it was some kind of like, his head was probably filled with some kind of like amniotic fluid. It's got to be an exaggeration because there's no way that a human body could survive as long as he lived with a heart the size of a peppercorn. You know, there's just no way.
His parents were uncle and niece. His grandparents were first cousins. His great-grandparents were first cousins too. Spanish scientists at the University of Santiago de Compostela traced his family tree across 16 generations and more than 3,000 individuals. His inbreeding coefficient came out at 25.4%, higher than a child born to siblings. He was born in 1661, couldn't walk until age 8, couldn't chew, his jaw was so malformed his tongue didn't fit his mouth. He drooled constantly. By age 10, he could neither read nor write. His courtiers called him El Hechizado. They performed exorcisms. The exorcisms didn't help. He became king of Spain at 4. A regent governed in his name.
I feel like the demons was kind of scratching their heads and they was like, that ain't got nothing to do with us, O'Shawn. I don't know why you try to call us out. We didn't do a damn thing to him. That's just people getting freaky in the sheets that didn't need to be.
He married twice, produced no children. When he died with no heir, the fight over his throne started a war that killed over 1 million people and lasted 13 years. Ferdinand I of Austria. In 1845, the Emperor of Austria got into an argument with his kitchen. The cook told him apricot dumplings weren't available. Apricots were out of season. The emperor shouted back. The exact words were recorded and have survived. "I am the emperor, and I want dumplings." The man governing 40 million people was having a standoff with his cook over seasonal fruit. His name was Ferdinand I, and
that motherfucker head big as shit, son. That's a big-ass forehead right there.
There is a reason this is how history remembers him. Ferdinand's parents were double first cousins. Not regular first cousins, double. His father's paternal grandparents were the same people as his mother's maternal grandparents. He had 4 great-grandparents total. A normal person has 8. He was born in 1793. His father wrote to relatives that a healthy prince had arrived. Within weeks, the doctors knew otherwise. Ferdinand's head was too large for his body. Hydrocephalus, fluid pressing against the brain from inside, had been there from birth. He had epilepsy.
That was what was wrong with the other dude. What do you call it? Hydrocephalus? Yeah, dude, that's exactly what was wrong with those dudes. It's a fluid that's been there since birth. Yeah, you did. You said that in the chat. I see that now. That's crazy work, bro.
Up to 20 seizures per day and a speech impediment severe enough that forming sentences was difficult. By age 9, he could not pour himself a glass of water, open a door, or climb a flight of stairs without help. His father was Emperor of Austria. Ferdinand was the eldest son. They made him heir anyway. The court physician examined him before his wedding and told the family it was unlikely Ferdinand could consummate the marriage. He tried. He had 5 seizures. He became Emperor of Austria in 1835, the largest empire in Europe, governing tens of millions of people. Ferdinand sat on the throne while 3 men ran everything in his name: Archduke Ludwig, Count Kolowrat, Prince Metternich. Ferdinand rolled himself across the palace floors in waste paper baskets. He caught flies and put them in jars. In 1848, revolution swept across Europe. Crowds marched on the palace in Vienna. Ferdinand asked Metternich to explain what was happening. Metternich said the crowds were making a revolution. Ferdinand's response was also recorded. But are they allowed to do that? He abdicated that year, retired to Prague Castle, lived there for another 27 years. His diary from those years is coherent.
Damn, imagine you about to get some cake for the first time and you have 5 seizures. Bro, like, you think that it was you think like he had like stress-induced seizures, or was it just strictly neurological? Girl be like, damn, I knew it was good, but really? This motherfucker on the bed like... just fucking tripping, dude.
Legible, occasionally witty. Prague called him Ferdinand the Good. He died in 1875 at 82. King Charles III of Britain has an inbreeding coefficient of around 4%. By the standards of this list, that barely registers.
W the Crooked Explainer. Video's hard.